All right, today we're putting on our detective hats and diving into a real-life medical mystery. It's a story about a crime scene, but it's happening at the cellular level. We've got an elusive culprit that's been stealing sight from millions of people, and some seriously cutting-edge science that's finally cracking the case. We're going to investigate the hunt for a cure for blindness.
And let me tell you, the stakes here could not be higher. We're talking about age-related macular degeneration. You've probably heard it called AMD. This is a truly devastating disease, and it's not some rare, obscure condition either. It's one of the leading causes of irreversible blindness for millions of older folks all around the world.
Okay, so here's our game plan, our investigative roadmap, if you will. First up, we'll head to the scene of the crime to get the lay of the land on AMD. Then, we're going to identify our prime suspect, a brand new cellular villain on the scene. After that, we'll figure out its MO, its method of attack. We'll also look at why the body's own security systems are failing. And finally, we'll get to the really exciting part, the high-tech backup that's being called in, a gene therapy that might just change everything. Let's get into it.
All right, first things first, we're investigating the scene of the crime. To really get a handle on this disease, we first have to understand the very unique, very specific place where it all goes down, the human retina.
So the retina is, wow, it's an intense place. Seriously, think of it like a high-energy, kind of volatile crime scene just waiting to happen. It burns through more oxygen than almost any other part of the body. And all that energy creates this constant storm of damaging molecules. Scientists call them reactive oxygen species, or ROS. Plus, the cells there are packed with these special fats, PUFAs, which are basically the perfect bullseye for all that damage. And to make matters worse, the cleanup crew, these cells called the RPE, well, they just get tired and slow down as we get older. So all this toxic junk just starts to pile up. It's literally the perfect storm for a disaster.
So for decades, doctors knew that cells in the retina were dying off. But why? The exact killer was a total mystery. Most people just chalked it up to, a general process of aging. But now we've identified a very, very specific culprit.
Okay, get ready for it. Meet our villain, Ferroptosis. Now, this isn't your garden variety random cell death. No, this is a very specific, regulated process. And just like the name suggests, ferro means iron. It has a key accomplice, iron. You can think of ferroptosis as a kind of cellular execution, one that's fueled by iron. It leads to this catastrophic pileup of toxic, damaged fats that just completely destroys the cell from the inside out. So how can we be sure it's ferroptosis and not some other cause of death? Well, the cellular fingerprints are totally different. With traditional cell death, which is called apoptosis, the cell kind of shrinks and neatly takes itself apart. It's very orderly. But with ferroptosis, the outside of the cell stays the same size, but inside its little power plants, the mitochondria, they shrink up and get super dense. It's a completely unique signature, a dead giveaway that the attack was aimed right at the cell's fatty membranes.
Okay, so we've identified our killer, ferroptosis. Now it's time to figure out its method of attack. How exactly does this process use plain old iron to wreck these super important retinal cells?
It all kicks off with just one thing, too much reactive iron floating around inside the cell. This iron sets off a really nasty chemical event called the Fenton reaction. This reaction creates one of the most toxic molecules known to biology, the hydroxyl radical. And these radicals, they act like tiny, microscopic missiles, instantly attacking and just shredding the cell's fatty membranes. The whole structure collapses and the cell dies. It's an absolutely vicious chain reaction.
And this quote here really nails it. Iron isn't just hanging around at the scene of the crime. Its unique chemical makeup actually makes it the perfect catalyst for all this destruction. See, it can easily switch its electrical charge back and forth, and that's exactly what allows it to keep churning out these destructive molecules, turning something our body needs, a vital nutrient, into a deadly weapon.
Now, you might be thinking, wait a minute, aren't our cells built to handle this sort of thing? And you'd be absolutely right. Our bodies have some pretty sophisticated security systems designed to stop exactly this kind of attack. But in a disease like AMD, those systems just get completely overwhelmed. They fail.
You see, our cells actually have a two-layered defense. The first line of defense is a crucial enzyme, GPX4. Think of it like a specialized bomb squad. Its only job is to find and detoxify those damaged fats. Then there's a backup system, FSP1, which acts like a freelance radical scavenger. The problem?
In that super high-stress environment of an aging retina, the attack is just constant, it's relentless, and eventually, even this double-layered protection just can't keep up. It breaks down. So, if the body's own defenses are failing, what's the answer? Well, this is where the science gets really cool and incredibly clever. Instead of just trying to put a band-aid on the old, failing systems, researchers are thinking bigger. They're proposing a radical upgrade, basically calling in some serious backup.
And this is the light bulb moment, the crucial question that changes the entire game. See, all the defenses we talked about so far, they react to the damage after it's already started. They're playing defense. But what if we could be proactive? What if we can go a step further and just disarm the culprit? What if we could neutralize the iron itself and take away the catalyst for this whole destructive mess before it even begins? And that is where our hero, transferrin, enters the story. The best way to think about transferrin is as the body's natural, super effective iron bodyguard. Its one and only job is to find loose iron, grab onto it really tightly, and transport it safely where it needs to go, making sure it never gets a chance to cause any trouble. It is, quite literally, the perfect protein for this job.
Okay, so here's the brilliant plan. Give those aging retinal cells a genetic upgrade. How? Well, scientists take a harmless modified virus, think of it like a tiny delivery truck, and they use it to shuttle the genetic blueprint for making transferrin directly into the retinal cells. This essentially hacks the cells, turning them into their own little transferrin factories, constantly pumping out an army of these iron bodyguards to protect themselves from the inside out.
And the results in the lab? They've been nothing short of incredible. In animal models that mimic AMD, this gene therapy did exactly what they hoped. It protected the actual structure of the retina. It helped maintain vision. And when they looked closer, at the molecular level, it massively reduced the chemical signs of damage and even calmed down all the nasty inflammation. This is some seriously compelling proof that the idea doesn't just work on paper, it works in practice.
And that brings us to the most exciting part. This isn't just a fascinating science experiment anymore. All that success in the lab has paved the way for this revolutionary idea to move out of the lab and into the real world. We're talking human clinical trials, bringing this detective story right up to the present day.
So right now, PST-611 is in what's called a Phase 1 clinical trial. It's targeting the forms of dry AMD and geographic atrophy that cause the worst vision loss. And the goals for this first phase are super clear and super important. Goal number 1, is it safe for humans? And goal number 2, what's the right dose? You know, the sweet spot that's effective without causing problems.
And just look at this timeline. It really shows you how brand new all of this is. The very first patient in this trial was dosed just recently, in July of 2025, and we should start seeing the first results on safety and dosing sometime in 2026. This isn't science from a textbook. This is science happening, quite literally, in real time.
Which brings us to our final big picture thought. This whole detective story, hunting down a single cellular culprit in the eye, it's really part of a much, much bigger story. What we're talking about here isn't just another treatment. It's a fundamental upgrade to our own biology. So the question it leaves us with is, well, it's a powerful one. As we get better and better at rewriting our own genetic code, could we start to disarm the villains behind other age-related diseases too? Could we take them out one by one?